CreepyCorner stories.
Hey everyone, welcome back to CreepyCorner stories. You know, diving into the dark web is always risky, but sharing these stories with you makes it worth it. I'm curious, where are you watching this from right now? Let me know in the comments below. I noticed that these kind of stories hit differently depending on where you are. It might make the experience a little creepier. So tell me, are you watching from the safety of your home or somewhere less secure? I found a dark web documentary called Disney's Room 1313. It explains too much. Alright, before I even get into this, just know that I'm not one of those Reddit horror story guys that makes up crazy stories for karma. I'm just a regular dude, 22, still living at home, grinding a boring part-time job at a gas station, and spending most of my time on Discord or watching weird videos on YouTube while eating Wendy's spicy nuggets at 2 a.m. Real human being. Nothing special. But a few months ago, I saw something I can't forget. Like, I genuinely wish I was lying. I'd rather believe I'm crazy than accept that this thing might be real. It started on a random Tuesday. I had just gotten off a closing shift at the station. It was around 1:30 in the morning, and I was chilling in my room, browsing Reddit, watching random TikToks, and eventually I got sucked into this late-night internet rabbit hole. You know the drill. One link leads to another, and suddenly you're watching an hour-long video titled 5 Scariest Lost Commercials that aired once and vanished. Standard spooky YouTube territory. Creepy mascots. Old Burger King commercials that look like they were made by someone who failed art class in 1997. Nothing too crazy. But one thing caught my eye in the comments under that video. If you think that was messed up, look up Room 1313 from Disney. Not the hotel, the documentary. But you'll have to go deeper. Of course, that sent my curiosity straight into overdrive. I figured maybe it was an old unaired Disney short, like that weird suicide Goofy one, or the alleged Mickey Mouse walking in silence loop. But nothing came up on YouTube, or Google, or even DuckDuckGo. Nothing, which only made me want to find it more. Here's where things went from quirky internet sleuthing to full-blown, I regret everything. I remembered an old Discord server I was in back in 2020 during the lockdown, basically full of nerds and digital gremlins who traded in internet urban legends. You know the types. VPN junkies, crypto bros, people who unironically still use Tumblr. One guy in that server went by the name S4NCTUARY, and I remembered he once showed us how to access a part of the deep web using a hidden onion link directory. I found his profile still active, sent him a DM. Hey man, you ever heard of something called Room 1313? He replied with just, "You're not supposed to know about that." I asked again, joking at first, like, "Lamau bro, it's probably just some fake Disney urban legend, right?" He left me on red. Then 10 minutes later, he dropped a link. No words, just a string of pure onion. Now, I've dabbled in Tor before, mostly out of curiosity. I'm not out here buying illegal mushrooms or fake IDs or whatever, but I've visited forums and weird abandoned blogs just to see what people talk about in the shadows of the internet. But this was something else. The link led me to a page that looked like it hadn't been updated since the MySpace era. Basic black background, red pixelated font, and a single video player in the middle with the title Disney's Room, 1313, the full unauthorized documentary, never to be seen again. No views, no comments, no download button, just play. I hesitated for a bit, then I clicked it, and I swear to God, the second the video loaded, my browser froze. My fan started spinning like crazy, like my laptop was overheating just from trying to play it. The video quality looked like it was ripped from a 90s camcorder. Grainy, shaky footage, time-stamped April 13th, 2003. The first 5 minutes were nothing but a handheld tour of what looked like the back corridors of Disney's contemporary resort, the one near Magic Kingdom. No music, no narration, just the eerie silence and the soft hum of fluorescent lights flickering. Then the cameraman spoke, and I felt my stomach drop. We're not supposed to be here. Room 1313 was shut down after the incident. If anyone finds this, know that we never meant to open the door. I immediately paused it. I googled that phrase. Room 1313 Disney incident. Nothing came up. But what did pop up was a Reddit post from 3 years ago on r/unresolved mysteries titled, "Was there ever a disappearance linked to Room 1313 in Disney World?" The post was short, one paragraph. It claimed that in 2003, a family of 3 disappeared while staying at Disney's contemporary resort. The room listed on their check-in, 1313. The only thing more disturbing was that the hotel officially doesn't have a room 1313. Just like many buildings skip floor 13, Disney allegedly never made a room with that number. But police records, which were supposedly leaked and scrubbed, mentioned it in the original investigation before it was sealed. I hit play again. The documentary cut to black, then showed brief flashes of what looked like police body cam footage, but it was grainy as hell. Screaming. Then a hotel hallway, soaked in some dark liquid. The camera zoomed in on the door. 1313. It looked wrong, like the number was carved in with a knife, not painted. The frame was warped, as if the wood had been soaked or twisted by something. Then came this low, rumbling sound, like something growling, but deep, mechanical almost. The cameraman tried the door. It was unlocked, and then the video glitched. Full-on VHS static, screeching feedback, then silence. The camera now showed inside the room. No lights, but you could see something, just barely, sitting on the edge of the bed. Something slouched, breathing heavily. It wasn't human. It looked like a mascot costume, but the proportions were wrong. The gloves were too long, fingers bending the wrong way. The head was too big, and it was twitching, like the animatronics in the old Chuck E. Cheese shows when they glitch out. It turned slightly, just enough to catch the reflection of Mickey Mouse's ears in the mirror. But this wasn't any Mickey I've ever seen. The face was stretched. The eyes were wide open, no pupils. The mouth was a jagged black void, not smiling, more like screaming, but with no sound. Then the screen went black. For a good 30 seconds, I thought the video was over, but right before I could close the tab, a single message appeared, white text on black screen. If you've seen this, they already know. Sleep tight. Do not check under your bed. The tab crashed. My whole browser shut down, and when I tried to relaunch Tor, it wouldn't open, like something just broke it. And I swear, I'm not lying. The wallpaper on my desktop changed. It was now a blurry frame from the video. The door. Room 1313. That night, I didn't sleep. And that was just the beginning. There's way more. The van outside my house. The email I got from a Disney corporate account that shouldn't exist. The night I thought I saw the mascot thing outside the McDonald's on Main Street. I'll write it all out. But trust me, if you see anything online about room 1313, scroll past. Don't go looking. I made that mistake, and now I don't think I'm ever getting my normal life back. That night after I saw the documentary, everything in my room felt wrong. Like the air was heavier, thicker. My window was cracked open just a little. I always sleep like that, but suddenly it felt like somebody was watching through it. The smell of the air had changed too. It didn't smell like night air anymore. It smelled like dust, sweat, and bleach. I shut the window, locked it, pulled the blinds down. My hands were shaking so bad I dropped my phone. The wallpaper, that image of the 1313 door, was still on my desktop, even though I'd already changed it. I unplugged the whole tower, thinking maybe I'd fried something. When it powered back up, the wallpaper was still there, but now the number had changed. 1313 was gone. It now said 12:59, like a countdown. I tried to distract myself. I opened Instagram on my phone. My feed looked normal, except for one story at the top, from an account I didn't follow. A blank profile picture, username 1313official. The story was a single photo. It was my house, taken from the street. The caption read, "You shouldn't have watched it." I stared at it so long, my phone went dim. I went to block the account, but it didn't exist anymore. By now, it was almost 3 a.m. I couldn't sleep, so I left my room and went downstairs to the kitchen, thinking maybe a glass of water would help. The whole house was silent, except for the hum of the fridge. Then I noticed something. Our back door, the one that leads to the porch, was unlocked. I never leave it unlocked, neither does my mom. And yet, the deadbolt was open, the handle slightly turned, like somebody had just let go of it. When I pushed it open to check, I swear I heard someone take a step off the porch into the yard. But when I looked, nothing. Just the dark outline of the trees and the distant sound of a car somewhere on the main road. I shut the door and locked it. Hard. I went back to my room and checked my phone again. Another DM, this time on Discord, from S4NCTUARY. They're already inside. Do not look under the bed. Whatever you do, don't say the name. I typed back, asking what he meant. But before I could hit send, the message disappeared. His account was gone. And then, my phone buzzed with a FaceTime request. It was from a contact saved in my phone as Dad. My dad's been dead for 4 years. I didn't answer. I turned my phone face down on the desk, but it kept buzzing. When it finally stopped, a voicemail popped up. Just 1 second of audio. A deep, mechanical voice saying, "Open the door." That's it. I tried to calm down by telling myself it had to be some kind of ARG or elaborate troll. Maybe someone hacked me. Maybe I was tired and imagining things. But then I heard it. From under my bed, the sound of breathing. Not like normal breathing either. This was raspy, wet, and timed perfectly with mine, like something was mimicking me. I backed away slowly, grabbed my phone, started recording, got down low enough to point the camera under the bed without looking myself. When I played the video back, I nearly dropped my phone, because under the bed wasn't empty. There was a hand sticking out, pale white, gloved, with fingers too long, bending at strange angles. It twitched once, then slid back into the darkness like it had been caught. I ran out of the room. I didn't even put shoes on. I bolted out the front door into the street, heart pounding, phone still in my hand. It was dead silent, except for my own breathing. Then a van pulled up. Black, no plates, parked across the street. The passenger window rolled down. Inside was a man wearing what looked like a Disney cast member uniform from the 90s. Faded blue shirt, name tag scratched off. But his face didn't look right. It looked like it was painted on, like a mask over his real one. He didn't blink. He just raised a hand and pointed at me. Then the van's door slid open and something climbed out. It wasn't a man. It wasn't a mascot either. It was like a person wearing a mascot skin that didn't fit. Limbs jutting out in the wrong places, fingers dragging on the pavement. The head tilted sideways like it was broken. I ran. I don't even know how long I ran. Past the Starbucks, past the McDonald's. Everything around me felt like a set, like I was running through a movie lot and nothing was real anymore. At one point, I looked back. The van was slowly following me. The thing in the mascot skin was walking now, not running, but somehow keeping pace. It hummed as it walked, a low, warped version of the Mickey Mouse Club theme. I finally ducked into a 24-hour gas station near the highway, the kind with flickering lights and rows of dusty energy drinks. The guy at the counter didn't even look up. I went to the bathroom, locked the door, and sat on the floor trying to breathe. My phone buzzed again. A new email. The sender was listed as 1313. No subject, just an attachment. It was a photo. Me, sitting in the gas station bathroom, taken from above. The caption read, "You're next." And that's where I'm at right now, writing this on my phone. The gas station is empty. The guy at the counter is gone. I can hear the humming in the hallway outside, and there's scratching at the bathroom door. The scratching at the gas station bathroom door wasn't just scratching anymore. It was like someone running their fingernails along a chalkboard, slow and deliberate, tracing the edges of the frame. Each drag of the nail made the light above me flicker once, as if the power was tied to the sound. I didn't move. My back was against the wall, knees up to my chest. My phone clutched so hard, my nails dug into my palm. There's a certain moment when you stop thinking you're going to survive and start just waiting for whatever is coming. I hit that moment sitting on the disgusting tile of that gas station bathroom. Then a voice, not from the door, spoke. It was behind me, inside the bathroom, with me. You looked at the room. Now the room looks at you. I turned so fast, I cracked my elbow in the sink. Nobody was there, just the grimy mirror and my own pale reflection staring back. But my reflection was smiling. I wasn't. I don't even know how I stood up, but I did. I unlocked the door and swung it open, expecting something monstrous on the other side. But the hallway was empty, silent. The humming was gone. The flickering neon buzz from the snack aisle was the only sound left. The cashier's stool was tipped over. His jacket was still hanging on the hook behind the counter. His phone lay on the counter too. Screen cracked, like he dropped it mid-call. I backed away toward the door. That's when I saw it. In the glass door of the fridge, where you can see your reflection faintly between rows of soda bottles, my reflection wasn't copying me anymore. It was facing me, but slightly closer, like it was leaning out of the glass. The reflection's eyes rolled white. Its mouth opened slowly. "Room 13. 13 is open," it whispered, but the sound came from behind me. I ran outside. The black van was gone. The street was empty. No cars, no noise. Even the Starbucks across the street, which is usually packed with students at this hour, was dark. On the ground, right in front of the gas station, was a hotel keycard, white, with the Disney logo on one side. On the other, 1313. I don't remember picking it up. One moment it was on the ground. The next, it was in my hand. It felt warm, like a pulse. When I looked up, the world had changed. The street wasn't the street anymore. The gas station was still behind me, but the road was now a long, carpeted hallway, lined with hotel doors on both sides. The air smelled like stale popcorn and chlorine. The carpet pattern was that same weird kaleidoscope Disney uses in its hotels. Stars and swirls and hidden Mickeys. Every door had a number: 1101, 1102, 1103, all the way down. The hallway curved so I couldn't see the end, and way down there, almost out of sight, was a door with a brass plate. 13, 13, I knew, deep down, that I was still standing outside the gas station, that maybe I hadn't moved at all, but everything looked real. The air was warm and heavy. The sound of something moving behind the doors, scratching, whispering, crying, was real. I started walking. Each step felt heavier, like I was walking into a deep pool. The keycard in my hand got warmer the closer I got to 1313. I passed a door with no number. It was cracked open a little. Inside, I could see a family sitting at a table. A mom, a dad, and a little boy. They were eating room service food. Their skin looked gray, like they were carved out of candle wax. None of them blinked. None of them moved. The boy's head turned just enough to look at me. His mouth opened wider than it should have. He whispered, "We never checked out." Then the door slammed shut. When I finally got to the 1313 door, my legs didn't want to move anymore. The handle was gold, polished, but sticky when I touched it. The keycard slid in on its own, like a magnet pulling it. A soft click. The door opened inward, and there it was, room 1313. It didn't look like a hotel room. It looked like a ride under construction. Steel beams, dangling wires, mannequins propped up in unfinished scenes. In the middle of the room, under a single flickering light, was a chair. Something was tied to it. At first, I thought it was a man, but as I stepped closer, I saw the head was a giant Mickey Mouse head sewn into the skin. The gloves weren't gloves. They were his hands, stretched and bleached. His chest moved slowly, like he was still breathing. He tilted his head back, and I could see his mouth through the gaping mascot mouth. His lips were sewn shut. His eyes were moving, darting back and forth. On the walls around him were dozens of screens playing security footage from different Disney properties, hotels, rides, behind-the-scenes areas. Some were live, some were old, some showed rooms that didn't exist on any map. One screen showed me, standing in room 1313, staring at the screens. Another showed the gas station bathroom. Another showed my room at home. And in that one, under my bed, the long white-gloved hand was still there. I tried to back out, but the door slammed behind me. The light above flickered once, twice. Then everything went dark. The screen stayed on. One by one, each screen started playing the same footage. Shaky camcorder video from the documentary. The cameraman's voice, trembling. "We're not supposed to be here. Then a voice, mechanical and low, filled the room. One becomes two. Two becomes many. Many become the room. I felt something brush against my leg. I looked down. Another gloved hand was reaching out from under the chair. It grabbed my ankle, hard. Its grip was ice cold. The mascot-headed man in the chair started to thrash, muffled screams behind the sewn lips. The voice repeated, "You looked at the room. Now you belong to the room." The gloved hand yanked harder, and I went down. The carpet under me wasn't carpet anymore. It was soft and warm, like skin. I clawed at the floor, but my fingers sank in like dough. From the darkness under the chair, something started to crawl out. Not a mascot, not a man, a shape, long limbs, no face, wearing a Disney cast member badge that just said 1313. That's when I blacked out. When I woke up, I was back in the gas station bathroom. My phone was dead. My hands were covered in something like black ink. The keycard was gone, but scratched into the mirror above the sink was a message. "Check your closet. I haven't gone home yet. I don't know what's waiting there." But the humming, the low, warped Mickey Mouse Club theme, I can hear it. Right now, outside the bathroom door. I didn't go home after what happened in the gas station bathroom. I couldn't. The words, "Check your closet," etched into the mirror, kept flashing in my head like a neon sign, and I was terrified that if I walked into my room, I'd see something waiting with the door cracked open. Instead, I just started walking. Hours. Streets I didn't recognize. Stores that looked like they'd been frozen mid-shift. Mannequins in windows, half-dressed. Cash registers open. Nobody inside. No cars. No birds. Just me. At one point, I realized the sky was wrong. It was black, sure, but not a natural black. It looked like a dome, painted, too perfect. The stars weren't stars. They were tiny blinking points, like LEDs. The moon hung in one spot, unmoving. That's when I saw the sign, a glowing sign in the distance. "Welcome back, guests." It was shaped like one of those retro Disney welcome signs, the ones you see driving into Orlando, but the letters were crooked, like they'd been rearranged by someone who didn't know English. Under the sign was a shuttle bus, the kind Disney uses to ferry people between hotels and parks. Its headlights were on, engine running, but nobody inside. On the front marquee, instead of Magic Kingdom or Animal Kingdom, it just read 1313. I don't remember deciding to get on the bus. I just did. The door hissed open like it was expecting me. Inside was empty except for one seat in the very back, which was soaked in something dark. I sat anyway. The bus started moving by itself. No driver, no noise except the wheels on asphalt and a low recording playing over the speakers. A woman's voice, calm, robotic, like the kind that does, "Please, keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times." But the words weren't right. "Welcome back. Return to your assigned place. Remember, all guests who enter must remain until closing. Closing never ends." The windows showed nothing but static, like old TV snow. Every few seconds, a face would flicker in the static. Kids with Mickey ears, parents holding popcorn, all smiling way too wide, their teeth black. The bus stopped. The door hissed open. I stepped out into a place that should not exist. It was like an underground park. Same colors, same music, but wrong. The air smelled like old meat and chlorine. Animatronics stood in the middle of the walkway, their costumes half off, their insides exposed. Metal skeletons with wires hanging out, but their heads were still smiling. In the distance was a building shaped exactly like Disney's contemporary resort, but it was decayed, windows cracked, plants growing out of the walls. The sign above the entrance simply read, Room 1313. The doors slid open. Inside was a lobby, but not a hotel lobby. It was a maze of hallways, walls covered in peeling wallpaper, patterned with hidden Mickeys. The carpet squelched when I stepped on it. There were people here. At least they looked like people. Families sitting in chairs, kids holding melted ice cream cones, dads in Hawaiian shirts. But their eyes were gone. Their mouths opened and closed slowly, like they were trying to talk, but couldn't. As I walked past, they turned their heads in unison to watch me. No sound, just the movement of their heads, creaking like old wood. One of them reached out, a woman with a Disney name tag still pinned to her blouse. Her hand was stiff, her nails black. She grabbed my sleeve and whispered, her voice like a broken radio. We came for a vacation. We never left. We can't leave. You can't leave. Then her hand crumbled into dust. I ran, through hallway after hallway, each one different. A ride queue here, a hotel corridor there, sometimes a fake main street with shop fronts that led nowhere. The entire place felt like someone had cut pieces out of every Disney park and stitched them together underground. Every hallway had doors. All the doors had numbers, not in order. 612, 1905, 999. But they all had one thing in common, a second number carved underneath with a knife. At some point, the hall opened into a huge ballroom, tables set up like for a wedding reception, chandeliers dripping with wax. At every table, mannequins in suits and dresses sat perfectly still, facing the stage. On the stage was a screen. It flickered to life as I entered. Footage of me at the gas station, running down the street, getting on the bus. Then the footage cut to black, and a line of text appeared. Welcome to the program. You are now a permanent guest. The mannequins stood up, slowly, all at once. Their heads turned. Underneath the masks, they weren't mannequins at all. They were people, but their faces had been smoothed over, like clay. No eyes, no mouth, just pale skin. They started to clap, soft, slow claps, and behind the clapping, another sound rose up, that humming again, the warped Mickey Mouse Club theme. Only this time, it was hundreds of voices singing along. The floor opened beneath me, like a trapdoor. I fell into darkness, landed on something soft. When I scrambled up, I realized it was a pile of plush toys. Mickeys, Minnies, Goofies. But the stuffing was wet. When I touched one, a human tooth fell out of its mouth. The singing above grew louder. Then a screen lit up in front of me. It was the original documentary again, but longer this time. Footage of people being led into room 1313. Their bodies changed as they crossed the threshold. Faces stretching, hands lengthening, eyes going black. Then came a frame of text. Once a guest enters, the park keeps a copy. The copy serves. The original becomes the room. I looked down at my hands. My fingers were longer than they'd been before. White. A Disney cast badge slid out of the plush pile and landed at my feet. It didn't say my name. It just said 1313. New stuff. I felt something behind me. I turned. It wasn't the mascot thing from before. It was me. Or rather, something wearing me, like a costume. My face, my clothes, but smiling with that same stretched grin. It raised a gloved hand and pointed at me, just like the man in the van had. Your shift starts now, it whispered. And then it stepped forward, walking into me. literally into me. I felt my skin stretch, my bones bend, my voice split into two. One screaming, one laughing. The room whispered all around. You looked at the room. Now you are the room. I woke up in a hotel bed. Crisp white sheets. A perfect view of Cinderella's castle outside the window. A knock at the door. I got up, looked in the mirror. I was wearing a Disney cast member uniform. My name tag read, "Welcome, new guest." And behind me, in the reflection, the door number on the wall wasn't my hotel room. It was 1313. The knock at the door didn't stop. 3 times, then 3 again. A pause. 3 again. When I finally opened it, there wasn't a hallway outside, just a black void and the smell of popcorn left out for years. From the darkness, something like an old 90s Disney commercial played. Muffled audio, grainy visuals. Welcome to the happiest place on earth. Except the voices were warped, dragging, each syllable too long. I tried to slam the door, but the void pushed back. The carpet curled inward, sucking the room's furniture toward it. The TV clicked on by itself. The screen showed a message. Cast members report to final programming. Then my reflection walked out of the TV. Not a glitchy reflection this time. It was me, down to the scar on my eyebrow. But its eyes were full black, and its mouth stretched wider and wider until it split its own cheeks. It whispered, calm and cheerful, like a tour guide. Closing time. All guests to their assigned positions. The floor dropped again, and I fell. But this time, I landed on something hard, painted concrete, damp and echoing. When I got up, I realized where I was. An underground warehouse. Rows and rows of giant mascot heads lined the walls, stacked like trophies. Mickey, Goofy, Donald, Minnie. Some smiling, some scorched, some still moving their mouths. In the center of the warehouse, a huge model of the entire Disney property spread across a table. Magic Kingdom, Epcot, the resorts, every hallway I just walked. Only instead of figurines, there were tiny living versions of people moving like ants. Guests, staff, families. I leaned closer and saw myself. A tiny me running through a hallway. The tiny me stopped, looked up, and waved. Then a voice echoed from the darkness. Every guest leaves a print. Every print leaves a shadow. Shadows feed the park. Something stepped out of the darkness. It wore a manager's suit, crisp and black, with a Disney badge that said, Operations. But its head was just a blank canvas of skin. No features, no hair. In its hands was a clipboard covered in symbols instead of words. It pointed at me, then at the model. I followed its finger and saw a new miniature appear on the table. Not of me this time, but of my house, my street, my closet door slightly open. Inside the closet, a shape crouched, gloved hands folded neatly in its lap. You watched. You opened. Now you're ours. The voice wasn't coming from the featureless manager. It was coming from all the mascot heads at once. Their mouths opened and closed, sound spilling out like 100 TVs on different channels. A screen dropped down from the ceiling, flickering. Footage rolled, black and white, security camera style. Families arriving at Disney World over decades, their faces blurred, but their shadows staying sharp. Each time a family entered a park, a second, darker copy peeled off in the footage, walking a different hallway underground. Then footage of a sterile room, stainless steel tables, the shadows being fitted into mascot skins, stitched, stretched, made to smile. A caption scrolled across the bottom. Every park needs staff. Staff needs memories. Another caption. The staff are you. The manager creature snapped its fingers. A door slid open at the far end of the warehouse, marked not with numbers, but with a word: show floor. I was shoved forward by something unseen, through the door, into blinding light. When my eyes adjusted, I was standing behind a fake main street, looking out at a crowd. Families, kids eating ice cream, balloons, all of them frozen mid-gesture, like animatronics waiting for a cue. A cheery PA system voice filled the air. Welcome to room 1313, where the show never ends and the guests never leave. I looked down at my hands. The gloves were permanent now. My fingers were fused into them. My name tag had changed. It didn't say, welcome new guest, anymore. It said, cast member, room 1313. I tried to scream, but what came out of my mouth was not a scream. It was the Mickey Mouse Club theme, low and mechanical. The crowd moved at once, hundreds of eyes turning to me. Their faces began to sag, their smiles splitting. Underneath their skin were the same gloved hands, the same badge. They started to clap, slow and in perfect unison. The PA voice rose again. Once you see the room, you are the room. Once you serve the park serves you. Welcome home. And then the lights went out. I woke up standing in front of Cinderella's castle. Morning light, families bustling around me, music playing, everything normal, except when I turned to the nearest trash can. You know, the green ones with the Mickey logos. My reflection in the metal was still wearing the cast member uniform, still smiling. My phone buzzed. A new notification. An email from an address I didn't recognize. 1313 at Disney-internal.com. Subject: welcome to the show. Body: your shift starts tonight. Closet check complete. Guest print copied. Enjoy your stay. Attached was a photo of my bedroom. The closet door wide open. Two long, white-gloved hands reaching out. People brushed past me, laughing, eating, snapping photos. None of them noticed the faint hum rising beneath the music. The warped Mickey Mouse Club theme, too low for anyone else to hear. I dropped my phone, looked up at the castle. The flag on top was upside down, and in every window, a pale face was watching me. All smiling, all waiting. I haven't been able to leave since. Every exit leads back to Main Street. Every path loops to the same castle. Every door number is 1313. And every time a family takes a picture, I see myself in the background, in uniform, smiling. The happiest place on earth. For them, not for us. I joined a dark web group that claims to control global stock markets with quantum AI. Hey Reddit. So, I've never posted anything like this before, but I've been sitting on this story for months now, and after everything that's happened, I just need to get it out. Maybe someone here has seen something similar, or maybe I just need to warn people before they fall into the same trap I did. Let's start from the beginning. My name's Matt. I'm 24, currently living in a sketchy studio apartment in Queens, New York. I work remote IT gigs and day trade for fun. I'm not rich, not broke, just that middle part of life where it's easy to feel invisible. And maybe that's why I was such an easy target. It all started back in March this year, 2025. I'd been binge watching those animated horror story YouTube channels, like Here's My Story, Onesie Entertainment, that kind of stuff. I'm a sucker for late night paranoia. I'd watch them with the lights off, scrolling Reddit on my phone, pretending the world wasn't falling apart outside. Anyway, One night, I stumbled on this weird subreddit thread. It was buried deep in r/conspiracy, but not the usual birds aren't real crap. The post was called, "Has anyone heard of the Syndicate?" Spelled exactly like that. Syndicate, with a Q. It had 0 upvotes and was locked after 5 comments, all from accounts that looked off. Like those AI-generated usernames you see spamming Telegram groups. Market Monarch 22, _NeoWealth _38, stuff like that. The OP claimed there was a dark web group using quantum AI to predict and manipulate the stock market, crypto trends, even political outcomes. They said it was all backed by data siphoned off social media platforms like TikTok, Reddit, even hidden Instagram stories that never go public. Basically, they had an AI that could process so much data it could literally see the future, not predict it, see it. Obviously, I laughed. I mean, this was peak tinfoil hat content. But then I saw a comment with a .onion link. It was disguised using a weird Discord-looking format. Something like quantumgate.onion//node entry ver 11. I don't mess around on the deep web often, but I've used Tor before, mostly to look up leaked info and old defaced forums for fun. But this felt different. Still, I was bored, alone, and running on monster energy and poor life choices. So I opened Tor, plugged in the link, and waited. What loaded looked like an early 2000s website. Gray background, blue courier, new font. Just one sentence on the page. "You are not here by accident." Underneath was a blinking cursor. No login, no menu. Just a command prompt. I typed, "Hello," expecting some 4chan level trolling, but instantly the screen flickered. Not like a loading screen, more like static. Then a new sentence appeared. "Matt, are you ready to change your future?" I nearly dropped my mouse. The site knew my name. No joke, I got chills immediately. But here's the thing, I wasn't logged into anything. Tor is anonymous by default. I even run a VPN on top of it. There's no way the site should have known my name. Unless it knew me already. I stared at the screen for a full 2 minutes before typing, "How do you know my name?" The screen glitched again. Then it showed me my own face. A photo from my Instagram story from earlier that day when I was waiting in line at Starbucks on 34th Street. You know those photos you take just for fun and delete later? This one never made it to my actual profile. It was a throwaway story that I deleted after an hour. But there it was, me, sipping a pumpkin cream cold brew, standing under the neon menu. My hand froze on the mouse. I remember literally whispering, "What the fuck?" out loud. Then it sent another message. "We are the Syndicate. We see everything. We know when the market moves before the traders do. Join and never lose." Again, I should have clicked out. I know that now. But the thing is, I'd been down bad in trading lately. I'd lost over $8,000 on a stupid leveraged crypto bet after watching some TikTok financial guru who turned out to be a 19-year-old kid using ChatGPT to sound smart. I was desperate for an edge, and they were offering one. So I typed, "I'm in." Immediately, the screen shifted. A login prompt appeared, only it wasn't for me. It looked like it was for a bot. It logged in automatically, ran some code lines like you'd see in a movie hacker montage, and then, boom, a dashboard opened. The dashboard was massive. It showed real-time global stock fluctuations, crypto market movement, even weird sidebars like consumer emotion index via TikTok. and military movement forecast, East Asia. There was one chart just called Event Prediction, October 6th, now 2025. That date stuck with me. Then I saw something worse. There was a section called Nodes. Each one had a code name: Monarch, Gatekeeper, Catalyst, etc. Each node had hundreds of sub-users under them, and one node was highlighted in red. New user, Observer 113. Welcome to the gate. That was me. I didn't even touch anything else that night. I screen recorded the whole thing, logged out, and closed Tor. I sat there sweating in my desk chair, heart pounding, but it didn't end there. The next morning, I woke up to a DM on Instagram from an account called @observer113 with my own profile picture. The message just said, "You're in now. Don't disappoint Gatekeeper." Then it disappeared, vanished. I checked my login activity. Nothing unusual. No hack. No login from another location. That's when I realized this wasn't some random group. This wasn't just hackers or LARPING nerds on tour. They were watching me. They were in my life now. I thought I could just forget about it, like it was a dream. But 3 days later, someone left an envelope under my apartment door. Inside were trading instructions for the next 72 hours, exact buy and sell times, tickers I'd never heard of, even included crypto coins that hadn't launched publicly yet, and they were all accurate. I made over $11,000 in 2 days following the instructions, but then things got weird. Like, people started watching me. Real people. In public. A guy in a red McDonald's delivery jacket stared at me for 45 minutes at Union Square before walking away. I saw him again 2 days later in Brooklyn, 35 minutes from where I first saw him. There's a black van that sometimes idles across from my apartment between 1 and 3 a.m. My TV turns on by itself now, only to static. Always to static. And remember that Event Prediction, October 6th, 2025, from earlier? That's 2 days from now. I don't know what's coming, but I think I've joined something I can't leave. I haven't slept right since that night. I've been trying to tell myself I imagined it all, that maybe I got too deep into the late night Reddit rabbit holes, or maybe the sleepless nights and caffeine just cooked my brain. But what happened next isn't a hallucination. I have proof. Or I did, before they made it disappear, just like they made him disappear. Let me explain. After I got that envelope under my door, I didn't tell anyone. Not my friends. Not my cousin I used to trade crypto with. Not even my group chat. I was scared, but I was also curious and stupid. I kept following the instructions. Every trade it listed was a win. No misses. It was like cheating reality. I went from broke to clearing over $40,000 in 5 days. Then the alert started. On my second week in the node, I got a notification on the dark dashboard. It didn't come through a browser. It slid onto my screen like a system alert, like how your antivirus pops up. Just a red blinking eye in the bottom corner with a single word: observe. I clicked it. The dashboard launched, but it looked different. There was no marked data, just a live feed, black and white, grainy, like security cam footage. It was of a guy, in his early 30s maybe, balding, thin, sitting alone in a cramped apartment. He looked exhausted, paranoid. The feed was from 6 different angles inside his house. There was a chat box open at the bottom of the screen with scrolling text that made my stomach twist. Lines like, subject, coal marrow, node, X Catalyst 67. Breach level, terminal. Initiating public erase sequence. And then a countdown. 0, 0, 23, 56. I sat there staring, unsure if this was real or just some sick test. At minute 16, he picked up his phone and called someone. The dashboard pulled up live audio. His voice shook. "Please, you have to help me. They're watching me. I tried to get out. I sent the documents. Click. Someone on the other end hung up. Or worse, wasn't there at all. Then he went to his laptop. I watched him try to email someone a folder labeled SYNDIQATE_LEAK. The second he clicked send, his laptop screen glitched out, just black with a flicker of red static. He backed away like it bit him. 00:03:14. I was breathing fast now. I couldn't stop watching. It felt like I was staring at a murder about to happen, and I couldn't look away. Then, at 00:000, it began. The lights in his apartment went out. All of them. The only light left was from the camera infrared. He stood there, frozen. Then came the knocking. 3 slow knocks at his front door. He didn't answer. He just cried. I saw it. His face crumpled, and he just started sobbing, like a child. He knew what was coming. I didn't see the person enter. The feed glitched when the door opened, like something had bent the signal itself. But I heard the screaming. It didn't sound human. It wasn't that he was in pain. It was like he was seeing something so wrong, so fundamentally unnatural, that his brain couldn't process it. Like every cell in his body realized it was about to be deleted. Then the feed went black, but it didn't stop there. His name? Cole Marrow? I tried to Google it. Nothing. I searched Reddit, Instagram, LinkedIn, even white pages. No records, no address, no social footprint, no family, no birth certificate. It was like he never existed, but I remembered him. I kept seeing his face in my dreams. Every time I walked past a reflective window, I swore I'd see him behind me, mouth open, eyes stretched too wide, like his last moment was frozen inside me. 2 days after the feed, I got a package. No return address, just my name, written in red marker. Not ink, marker, thick, sloppy, unstable handwriting. Inside was a thumb drive, a worn business card for a coffee shop I've never been to in real life called Citrine Bean, 402 King Street, Toronto, and a piece of paper that just said, "There are only 2 ways out, obedience or obsolescence." The thumb drive held exactly 1 file, a video. I had to watch it twice to even process it. It was security footage, again. This time, of me, walking into a deli on 9th Avenue, talking to the cashier, leaving with a sandwich. I never saw the camera. The footage ended with a zoom in on my face. My eyes glitched out, not like in post-edit, like they weren't my eyes. They flashed red, then it froze, and text overlaid. Node, Observer, 113. Test phase, passed. Prepare for gate integration. Next protocol, compliance trial, 10.0, 6.25. Location, redacted. That's today. I didn't know what gate integration meant, and I didn't want to know. I packed a bag and got on the earliest Amtrak to DC. I figured maybe I could get off the grid, stay in a motel, disappear until this all blew over. It didn't. At 3:42 a.m., I got a call. No number, just static on the other end. Then a voice, mechanical, hollow, female. Matthew. There is no off-grid. There is no leaving the gate. There is only in or erased. Then she whispered something that made my chest go cold. "Don't look out your window." I was in the middle of nowhere on a train through the woods. No buildings, no lights. I stared at the phone, stupidly, like it would give me an answer. And then I looked out the window. I swear to God, I saw myself standing in the woods, not like someone who looked like me. Me. Same hoodie, same face, same eyes, except they weren't my eyes. They were black, bottomless, and he smiled. The train passed too fast to get a second look, but I saw something else too. There were other people in the trees, hanging upside down, still, lifeless, like puppets waiting for someone to pull the strings. When I got to DC, I called every contact I had. No one picked up. My group chat, gone. Not just messages, the entire chat history erased. The group itself no longer existed. My bank accounts, locked. Every email I tried to send bounced back with a cryptic message. Node 113. Communication locked until event protocol complete. At that point, I had one option left. The coffee shop from the card, Citrine Bean. I flew to Toronto. When I got there, the address didn't exist. 402 King Street. There's a massive glass skyscraper there now. No coffee shop. No trace. I asked 3 locals, and all of them gave me the same look, like I'd said something I shouldn't have. But that night, I got a message on Telegram from a contact with no name, just a wind as the profile pic. The message said, "They let you see coal so you'd know what happens to traitors. The gatekeeper thinks you can be useful. Come to the old Union Station basement tomorrow. Midnight. Alone. Say nothing. Obey. Or vanish." I didn't go, but I watched from a distance. At midnight, 4 people in black suits with glowing pins on their collars went inside. I swear one of them wasn't walking right, like his joints bent the wrong way, like he was being puppeted. 10 minutes later, I saw them dragging someone else out. A young woman, kicking, screaming. Her eyes were covered with tape, mouth sealed. Her legs were shaking like she was having a seizure from terror. She saw me watching from across the street, and she screamed so loud it cut through the duct tape. I heard one word, "Run." I did. I ran like hell. I haven't stopped since. I'm not safe, but I still have one piece left, something they missed when wiping my laptop. I found a hidden folder that somehow survived their purge. Inside was a file named gatekeeper_voice_raw1.wov. It's not a voice. It's something else, like a chorus of whispers trying to form a sentence but failing, like something that wants to sound human but doesn't understand how. Every time I play it, I get a nosebleed. Every time. Tomorrow is October 6th, the date from the dashboard. Whatever they predicted, it's coming. And if I vanish after this post, they got me too. Screenshots and files incoming. If I survive the next 24 hours, I'll leak everything I have. Don't trust any messages you get today. Don't open unknown Instagram stories. And whatever you do, don't answer calls from yourself. You'll hear a version of you that never should have existed. I don't know if I'm writing this from inside a nightmare, or if this is the part where I finally go missing. Everything since midnight has been a blur of static, blood, and things I cannot explain with words you'd recognize. You've been warned. I woke up at 11:47 p.m. to my apartment door unlocking by itself. You know that sound a lock makes when it slowly clicks open, like someone turning it with their fingers instead of a key. That's what I heard. No footsteps, no shadow under the door. Just click. The TV in my living room flicked on to static. It wasn't even plugged in. I yanked the power cord out last week. The static wasn't just white noise either. It pulsed. It had a rhythm, like a heartbeat. Slow, deep. I grabbed my phone to call someone, anyone, but the screen was black. Not dead, just black, like the pixels had been eaten. The only thing visible was a small text in the corner. Node 113, ready. Then the static on the TV turned into a feed, not security cam footage this time. A live broadcast of me, sitting in my own apartment, holding my phone. Except it wasn't exactly me. The me on the screen looked like a marionette being moved by invisible strings. The joints bent too far. The mouth stretched when it shouldn't. The eyes were empty sockets full of black light. It lifted its hand to the camera, palm facing outward. The palm had a single word burned into it. O-B-E-Y. And then it smiled. The lights cut out. Complete blackness. Then, knocking. Not at the door this time. From inside my walls. 3 knocks. Long pauses. 3 knocks. I don't know how long I stood frozen. My chest felt like it was collapsing. But when I finally moved, the sound stopped. Then I heard breathing right behind my ear. Not human breathing. Imagine a cassette tape of someone breathing, slowed down 400%. Wet, rattling, mechanical, but alive. I turned around. There was nothing, but my apartment door was open now, just a crack. And outside, the hallway wasn't my hallway anymore. It looked like an airport terminal at night. No people. Flickering fluorescent lights. Abandoned luggage everywhere. Signs pointing to gates that didn't exist. Gate 13. Gate 113. Gatekeeper. My feet moved before my brain told them to. Every step echoed like it was inside my skull. I passed a suitcase with a name tag. Cole Marrow. Inside the clear pouch was a photo of him, the man I'd watched erased, but his face had been scratched out. Then the PA system crackled to life above me. Passenger Observer 113. Your event protocol is boarding. Failure to board results in deletion. That's when I saw them. The passengers. They were lined up at gate 113. Dozens of them. All wearing normal clothes. Hoodies, jeans, office outfits. But their faces were wrong. Like someone had blurred them in Photoshop, but in real life. Some had no mouths. Some had mouths that were too wide. Eyes on the wrong side of their heads. And they were all whispering in unison. Obedience or obsolescence. Obedience or obsolescence. I bolted. I ducked behind a row of chairs. I could feel their heads turning in my direction, even though their necks didn't move. Then a man stepped out from the gate. He was in a dark business suit, holding a briefcase. His tie was red, but it wasn't fabric. It looked like it was made of meat. He opened the briefcase and pulled out a stack of papers. They fluttered to the ground like feathers, but when I looked closer, each one was a photograph of me. Sleeping, eating, walking down a street. Dozens, hundreds, from angles no one could have taken. He dropped one at my feet. It was a photo of me, taken tomorrow. The timestamp said, October 6th, 2025, 3:42 a.m. My throat was slit. My eyes were missing. I wanted to scream, but nothing came out. Then I heard a voice above the PA, clearer than before. Not robotic this time. Soft, almost kind. Female. We know you, Matt. We know your blood. We know your debts. We gave you what you wanted. Now pay. Every screen in the terminal flickered. Stock charts, cryptographs, social media feeds, people screaming on TikTok lives, stock tickers going red, names of banks, airlines, hospitals, all collapsing at once. Then one screen showed New York City, Times Square. But the billboards weren't ads anymore. They all said the same thing. Gate open. and I swear the crowd in the video wasn't moving right. People walking backward, faces glitching, shadows going in the wrong direction. Then the suit man held up a small black device shaped like an old pager. He pressed it, and reality ripped. The passengers opened their mouths, but no sound came out, just black smoke pouring from their throats. The smoke formed symbols in the air, floating. The symbols burned into my eyes like after images. I still see them when I blink. The ground cracked open. Underneath wasn't floor. It was screens. Rows and rows of glowing screens showing every person I'd ever known. All of them staring back at me like they could see me. Then, worse, the screens started turning off, one by one. Each time one went dark, I felt something inside me flicker, like pieces of my memory were being shut off. Childhood, my first dog, my mother's voice, gone. I stumbled backward into a door marked compliance trial. The door slammed shut. Inside was a small room, no windows, just a chair bolted to the floor and a mirror. On the mirror was a phrase written in what looked like black ink, but smelled like rust. Kill or be erased. Then the mirror lit up. It wasn't a reflection anymore. It was a video call. On the other side of the mirror was a man tied to a chair, gagged, crying. His face was blurred, but his shirt had my company's logo on it, my remote IT job. Above him, text appeared. Nodes must prove obedience. Delete subject to exit. A single red button appeared on the wall next to me. It pulsed like a heartbeat. I realized what they were asking me to do. I slammed my fists against the mirror, screamed. No sound came out. The text changed. 10 seconds. Obey or obsolescence. The man on the other side of the mirror shook his head violently. His eyes begged me. 5 seconds. I pressed the button. The screen went black. The door opened. I stumbled out into the terminal again, but it wasn't a terminal anymore. It was my apartment. The TV was off. My phone was on the table. Everything looked normal, except there was blood on my hands and a new envelope on my couch. I opened it. Inside was a single sheet of paper. You passed. Protocol initiated. Remain at node. Gate keeps you safe. Below it was a photo. Me, sleeping in my bed, taken tonight. And behind me in the photo, the man from the mirror. Dead. It's 3:12 a.m. now. I've tried calling the police. The call won't connect. I've tried leaving the apartment. The door won't open. It leads back to the airport terminal. I've tried smashing my phone. It keeps turning back on. I can still hear breathing behind my ear. And my mirror isn't showing me anymore. It's showing someone else sitting where I am. He looks like me, but his smile is wider. It's no longer October 6th, or maybe it still is, but the clocks in my apartment have stopped counting time. Every display, my phone, the microwave, my laptop, just shows the same thing. 3:42 a.m. Even the sun hasn't come up. Outside the window is a black, motionless sky with no stars, no streetlights, no city noise, just nothing. This isn't my apartment anymore. It's some kind of holding cell stitched together from the pieces of my life. I can see fragments of other places leaking through the walls, the flicker of subway tunnels, a flash of a hospital hallway, the inside of an elevator I've never been in. They pulse like a bad signal. I can still hear the breathing, louder now, not behind me anymore, inside my head. The mirror on my wall keeps changing. It's not a mirror now, it's a screen. Every time I blink, it shows me a new scene. The first time, it was my high school cafeteria. Empty, chairs overturned, a single lunch tray spinning slowly in the middle of the floor like someone had just dropped it. The second time, it showed a Starbucks bathroom, the door locked from the outside. Something scribbled on the walls, over and over in Sharpie. Gate, open, gate, open, gate, open. The third time, it showed my mother, sitting in our old living room back in Queens. She was holding a photo album, but all the pictures inside were blank. When she looked up, her eyes weren't eyes, they were black holes. She whispered, "You passed the trial, but not the test." I screamed her name and punched the mirror. My fist went through it. No glass, just cold air. On the other side was the hallway of an airport again. Gate 113. Except this time, it was full. Not with passengers, with versions of me. Hundreds of them. Different clothes, different ages. Some scarred, some eyeless. Some with mouths stitched shut. All standing in a perfect line. All staring at me. One stepped forward. His skin was pale and tight like paper. His mouth stretched ear to ear. His teeth were wrong, like broken light bulbs jammed into his gums. He opened his mouth, and my voice came out. "This is what you become when you press the button." Then every version of me started speaking at once. Different phrases, my childhood memories, my passwords, my thoughts, things I'd never said out loud. It was like being drowned by myself. I tried to back away, but the wall behind me dissolved. I was in the terminal again. This time, it looked less like an airport and more like a meat locker. Cold, dripping, humming. The passengers were hanging from hooks on the ceiling, still whispering. Their bodies twitched as if they were being played on a loop. At the far end of the room was a door with the words, "The gate is everywhere." I pushed it open. On the other side wasn't a place. It was a feed. Thousands of screens stacked on top of each other like a living mosaic. Every screen showed a real-world location. Macy's in Times Square, a McDonald's in Tokyo, a hospital in Berlin, a gas station in Nebraska. People standing still, staring up at the cameras, mouths moving in silent words. Then all of them turned their heads to face me at once. Every screen, every person, they all whispered one word: comply. The screens glitched, merged, and became one giant face. Not human. The kind of face you might see if you piece together 1,000 CCTV cameras into a mosaic of eyes and mouths. It blinked once and spoke. "The market moves because we tell it to. You joined for profit. You stayed for survival. Now you belong." I fell to my knees. My head was splitting open with static. I could see words crawling under my skin, glowing like veins. Numbers, stock tickers, coordinates, names of people I'd never met. I tried to claw them out, but my fingers passed through my skin like smoke. Then the voice said something I'll never forget. "We're not just in the market. We are in the flesh. We are in every feed, every screen, every human node. You are a node now. You carry the gate." I felt something shift inside me. My heartbeat wasn't mine anymore. It was slow, heavy, syncing with the hum of the room. The screen showed a live feed of Union Station in Toronto. People were walking normally. Then, in an instant, they all stopped and turned their heads toward the nearest security camera, smiling, holding their hands up with the word "Obey" burned into their palms. Another feed, Los Angeles Airport. Same thing. Another feed, London Underground. Same thing. Another feed, my old high school, my teacher. Same thing. All of them whispering in sync. "The gate is open." I tried to run, but the floor turned to glass. Underneath, I could see oceans of people falling, screaming without sound. Their bodies twisting into versions of themselves that weren't right. Arms where heads should be, mouths full of eyes, spines bending backward like scorpions. Above me, the ceiling melted into a black sky full of static stars. Something was moving between them, huge, mechanical, but alive. It looked like a spider made of cell towers, pulling cables like webbing across the sky. Every time it moved, the whispering got louder. A shadow fell over me. I looked up and saw myself again, another version of me, but this one was dressed in a black suit, like the gatekeeper. He held a device, like the one the meat tie man had. He tossed it to me. I caught it. My hand burned where it touched. The screen on it said, "Final Event Protocol. Choose a target." Below it was a list of names. Random people. CEOs, politicians, influencers, my old neighbors, my mother, my cousin, people I'd never met. The voice came back, louder. Delete one to stay. Refuse and be erased. My stomach turned. The names kept scrolling. Faster, faster. Millions of them. My vision blurred. Then one name stopped on the screen. Matt, my last name. My own name. I realized what they were asking me. Kill someone else or kill myself. The black suit version of me stepped closer. His face peeled open like paper, revealing rows of teeth where his eyes should have been. He whispered in my ear. My own voice twisted. "If you don't choose, you'll become all of us." I don't remember pressing anything, but I must have, because the device vibrated. The screens all went white. The whispering stopped. And then I was back in my apartment. Everything normal. Morning sunlight through the window. Birds. Cars. Except my phone buzzed. A single notification from an app I didn't install. Compliance complete. Target confirmed. Node upgraded. I opened it. It showed a photo of a man I'd never seen before, lying dead in a bathtub. Eyes missing, throat cut, and in the reflection of the bathroom mirror behind him was me. It's 3:42 a.m. again. I haven't slept. I don't know if I can. My reflection in the mirror isn't following me anymore. It's just sitting there, smiling, waiting. I think the next phase has started, because every time I blink, the sky outside my window flickers, and I can hear thousands of voices whispering from my phone, from my TV, from the static between stations. The gate is open everywhere. It's not 3:42 a.m. anymore. It's not even time. The clocks are still showing it, but the sun has not risen. The birds outside the window are frozen midair, wings locked like marionettes on invisible strings. The city noise has stopped. Cars in the street below sit motionless, headlights glowing, but drivers inside frozen mid-blink. I keep telling myself, I'm awake. I keep pinching my arms until they bleed. The pain is real. The blood is real. But nothing else is. I can hear them now. Not just behind me. Not just in my head. Everywhere. All at once. It's like standing inside the throat of something enormous, feeling the air vibrate as it breathes. Every wall, every screen, every object in the room hums with the same pulse. And every few seconds, the hum forms a word. N-O-D-E. Obey. Open. The mirror isn't a mirror anymore. It's a door. The surface ripples like black water. My reflection doesn't move when I do. It's sitting in a chair on the other side of the glass, head tilted like a predator. It has no eyes now, just a single vertical mouth running from forehead to chin, teeth grinding like machinery. It's whispering, but the sound doesn't come from the mirror. It comes from inside my chest. Step through. We're waiting. I back away. My heels hit something on the floor. A briefcase. It's the same briefcase I saw the meat tie man carrying. Only now it's open. Inside are objects from my life, but wrong. My childhood teddy bear with nails driven through its eyes, my old iPhone playing videos of me sleeping, my first debit card with the word erased where my name should be, and at the very bottom, a piece of paper, final integration, location, your body. The walls dissolve. I'm not in my apartment anymore. I'm standing in the center of Times Square, but it's silent. Every billboard is blank except for a single phrase. The gate is open. There's no crowd, no taxis, just mannequins, hundreds of them, all wearing the clothes of real people, delivery jackets, suits, pajamas. Their faces are plastic, but their mouths are moving. They're all mouthing my name. I turn around, and there's a man standing where the TKTS stairs should be. He's wearing a black suit. His head is covered by a black hood with the Syndicate logo stitched in white across it. He raises his hand, and all the mannequins turn toward me at once. Their mouths stretch open until the plastic splits, revealing flesh underneath. They're not mannequins. They're people. People with their faces peeled back. The hooded man speaks. The market was just the beginning. We built the network. The network built the gate. The gate builds you. Then he lowers his hood. It's me. Or rather, a version of me, stripped of everything human. His skin looks like static. His eyes are deep black pits with flickers of ticker symbols scrolling inside. He points at me. The world tilts. Now I'm falling. Not through air, through data, through endless vertical corridors of scrolling numbers, faces, and screams. Each passing image is someone being deleted. A man walking into a hospital bathroom and never walking out. A mother holding her child as both flicker into static. A crowd in a stadium going still as one before vanishing. I slam into a surface that isn't ground but feels like bone. I'm in a circular room. The walls are covered with screens showing live feeds of every person reading this story. Their faces are lit by their phones, eyes scanning the words. They're all whispering now. Not just me. You too. I can hear you. We are all nodes. We are all gate. The ceiling opens. A shape descends. It's made of wires, meat, and glass. It's huge, filling the room like a cathedral. Its face is a screen showing thousands of mouths, all forming my name. It speaks without sound, but the words form in my blood. There is no outside. There is no market. There is only the gate. A black device appears in my hands again, the same one from the compliance trial. But this time, there's no list of names, just one word. Everyone. Beneath it, press to open. I drop it. It floats in midair. The screen glows red. The walls begin to melt, revealing an infinite space full of people suspended in rows, twitching like glitching files. Some of them are still trying to scream. Others have been hollowed out, their skin replaced with scrolling code. The voice returns, louder, in every language at once. Press to open, make them nodes. I cover my ears, but the sound is inside me. I feel something pushing through my fingertips, trying to make me press the button. My reflection walks out of the mirror. Its mouth opens, and it says with my voice, "If you don't, you'll become one of us. If you do, you'll become all of us." I scream, but the sound that comes out isn't mine. It's the sound of thousands of people screaming together, layered into one long note of static. I wake up on my couch. Morning sunlight, coffee brewing, news on the TV, everything normal, except my phone is buzzing with notifications from accounts I've never followed. Everyone says the same thing. "Welcome to the gate," and on the palm of my hand, burned into the skin where no ink could go, are the letters, "Obey." This isn't a warning anymore. This isn't a story. If you've read this far, you're already in. Check your reflection tonight. If it's smiling when you're not, the gate has you. If your phone buzzes at 3:42 a.m., don't answer. If you hear your own voice whispering from the static, don't listen. And if you see the button, don't press it, because once you do, you don't just join the syndicate, you become the syndicate. And then you'll look at your hands, just like I am now, and realize there's no difference between you and the thing breathing in the dark. The gate is open. The gate is everywhere. The gate is you. Someone leaked a dark web document called Project Lazarus. It's about bringing people back from the dead. Okay, so I never thought I'd actually be posting here, but after what happened the last few weeks, yeah, I don't know where else to turn. I used to listen to stories like this late at night, usually while scrolling TikTok or watching those animated horror story channels on YouTube, like Here's My Story or Mr. Nightmare. I always thought it was just exaggerated internet horror, but now I get it. Some of these stories, they're real, and I think I'm involved in something way bigger than I ever wanted to be. Let me back up. My name's Tyler. I'm 21. I'm in college. Nothing fancy, just a small state school in Oregon. I won't say which one for obvious reasons. I live with 2 roommates, Will and Jason. We're basically just 3 broke college dudes surviving on ramen, Monster Energy, and whatever's left of our mental health. Anyway, I've always been into the darker corners of the internet. Like, I'm not one of those hackers or whatever, but I know my way around a proxy and a VPN. YouTube horror stories got me curious. You know how it is. You watch one video about the dark web, and suddenly you're watching 3-hour compilations at 3 a.m. while wondering if you'll ever sleep again. It started 2 weeks ago. I was in my room scrolling through Reddit like I usually do before bed. I follow a bunch of weird subs, r/deep web files, r/unresolved mysteries, r/ARG. Someone posted this sketchy screenshot of a terminal window. It didn't look like much at first, just some command lines and a weird URL. But the caption caught my eye. Do not open. Project Lazarus has been leaked. At first, I thought it was another one of those dumb Creepypasta type games or some SCP fan project. But then I saw the comments. Most of them were deleted, like straight up nuked. But a few slipped through, and they were disturbing. One user just said, "My cousin was part of this. He's dead now. I'm not joking. Delete this thread." Another said, "If you get the file, don't open it on your main computer. They track keystrokes. I know I should have just left it alone. But here's the thing. I've got this itch for the unexplained. Call it curiosity. Call it stupidity. I don't know. But I copied the link. It was a .onion address, so I booted up Tor and went in. It took forever to load. No graphics, just a black screen with a white folder icon in the middle. Underneath it, LZRS.zip, 448 megabytes. There was a warning too, in bright red, confidential, for level 6, personnel only. Breach will result in termination. I thought it was some weird LARP or ARG. The file name LZRS probably stood for Lazarus, right? Resurrection? Biblical reference? Cool concept. I downloaded it. Now, before you judge me, yes, I scanned it for viruses. I'm not that dumb. It came up clean, so I extracted it. Inside were a bunch of files, PDFs, video clips, audio logs. Most of the video files were corrupted, but few worked. I opened the first readable PDF. It was titled Revival Protocol, Stage 2, BETA. That's when things got real. The document read like a government research file, like McCultra meets Frankenstein. It had timestamps, case IDs, test subjects, locations. There were references to actual places, Fort Detrick, Langley, even some remote labs in Greenland and Antarctica. Some of the descriptions were heavily redacted, but what wasn't blacked out chilled me to the core. Subject 023 experienced spontaneous eye movement and regained partial respiration 17 minutes after clinical death. No brain activity. Subject began emitting low-frequency vocalizations resembling speech 21 hours post-revival. Another one read, Subject 024 recognized deceased relatives in lab staff. Aggressive behavior followed. Terminated. That wasn't the worst part. There was a video file labeled Subject 031 Observation Window. I should have stopped there. It looked like security footage from a lab. You know those old government facilities with white walls and giant glass observation rooms, like something out of a science fiction movie? One of those. There was a man, probably in his 30s, tied down to a gurney. He looked pale, like gray, like all the color had been sucked out of him. The timestamp said March 2nd, 2022. That's not even that old. He didn't move for like 5 straight minutes. Then, his eyes shot open. His body started twitching, then jerking violently. Alarms started going off. The video cut out. At this point, I was sweating. Legit, I felt like I was being watched. You ever get that feeling like someone's behind you, even when you're alone? Yeah, that. Then my phone lit up. Unknown number. You have been flagged. Delete all files immediately. I froze. My hands were shaking. I screenshotted the message. Instinct, I guess. A second later, it vanished. Like, completely gone from my phone history. I checked the metadata on the screenshot. Corrupted. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every sound in the apartment freaked me out. I even unplugged my Alexa. I didn't trust anything anymore. The next morning, I told Will and Jason about it. Jason thought it was hilarious. Will, not so much. He told me about this conspiracy podcast he listens to, called Signal Black. He said they'd mentioned something called Project Lazarus a few months back. They claimed it was real. Some resurrection experiment shut down in the 90s and recently restarted under a different name. Supposedly, it was connected to DARPA, Google DeepMind, and even Neuralink. I laughed it off, at first. Then things started happening. My laptop bricked itself 3 days later. No warning, just a black screen with a blinking cursor. I took it to a repair place, and the guy told me the hard drive had been completely wiped. But here's the creepy part. He said it was like someone had overwritten the OS with military-grade encryption. I don't even know how to do that. Then Will stopped coming home. He wasn't answering his texts. His location was turned off. I called his sister, and she said he hadn't contacted her either. That was 3 days ago. Then, this morning, I got a manila envelope taped to our front door. No postage, no name. Inside was a printed photo. It was a still frame from that video I watched. The guy on the gurney. Yeah, it was Will, but the timestamp was updated. It now said October 1st, 2025, 03:46 a.m. That was 2 days ago. And the background? It wasn't some government lab. It looked like the basement of a Starbucks. I don't know how to describe what it felt like holding that photo. Imagine seeing your friend, someone you've lived with, someone who made microwave nachos and watched reruns of Family Guy at 2 a.m., strapped down in some concrete room that looked like a crime scene from a Netflix documentary. But the worst part, he wasn't screaming, he wasn't struggling, he was smiling, wide, unnaturally wide, like his face had been peeled open and pinned that way. It didn't even look like Will anymore. The skin around his eyes had this dull purple hue, and there was something wrong with his pupils, like they were expanding outward, slowly, as if they weren't done mutating yet, almost like ink dropped in water. I know that sounds dramatic, but if you saw it, you'd get it. The back of the photo had one line, typed in courier font, like an old government report. Lazarus is not a name. It's a cycle. The day after the envelope showed up, my life stopped being real. I woke up to my window open from the outside. I live on the second floor. There were footprints, bare footprints, not muddy, not bloody, just wrong. Long toes, like they didn't belong to anyone still considered human. I called the police. What else was I supposed to do? They came. They looked around. They laughed. Told me it was probably a raccoon. I showed them the photo. They asked me to hand it over. I refused. Within an hour, the photo disappeared from my desk. I hadn't posted it anywhere. I hadn't sent it. It just vanished. That same night, I went back into the lzrs.zip folder. There was a new file. I swear on everything. I hadn't seen it before. It was named D1313 _security _feed.mp4. The thumbnail was pitch black. I clicked it. It opened to grainy surveillance footage of a hotel hallway. For a second, it looked like just some average floor in a chain hotel. Maroon carpeting, beige wallpaper, flickering lights. But then the camera shifted, and I saw the room number, 1313. At first, I didn't register what I was looking at. Then it hit me. That hallway wasn't just any hallway. It was in the Disneyland Hotel, Anaheim. I'd been there when I was a kid. I recognized the carpet, the same color, same layout, but there was something different about the footage. The lights were slower. I don't mean flickering, I mean slower. Like reality itself was lagging behind the footage. The timestamp said 3:13 a.m. Of course, a man walked into frame. I didn't recognize him at first. He was wearing what looked like a tattered version of the Disneyland bellhop uniform, but faded and old and dirty. There were brown stains across his chest that looked like they'd been there for years. He was pushing one of those old-fashioned brass luggage carts, but there weren't suitcases on it. There were bodies, children, 4 of them. They looked like dolls at first, limp, pale, plastic-like. But when the cart tilted for a second, one of their arms twitched. The man rolled the cart to the door of room 1313 and knocked. I swear to God, the door opened itself. From inside came this low, almost mechanical grinding sound. Not like a machine, like something alive was trying to sound like a machine, like a mimic. You know how parrots can imitate a human voice? It was like that, but worse. The hallway camera cut out for 6 seconds. When it came back, the cart was gone. So was the man. The door to room 1313 was still open, and something huge was standing in the doorway. It was tall and wrong and blurry, like it couldn't be recorded properly. It looked like a person, but stretched, arms too long, head too wide. Its skin was grayish, like it had been wrapped in wet paper and never dried. I don't think the camera could fully register it, but it looked at the camera. It knew it was being watched. I paused the video. That thing, it had Will's face, mangled, rebuilt, but it was him. I slammed my laptop shut and threw up in the bathroom. I stayed in there for an hour, sitting on the floor, shaking, with my phone flashlight on, like it was going to protect me. I knew I had seen something I wasn't supposed to. Something real. That's when I got the second message. No number. Just a notification, like it was embedded into my phone system. You've opened the door. Now it's your turn. That's when the dream started. Every night since that message, I've been having the same dream, if you can call it that. It feels more like someone else's memory. I'm walking through an empty Disney park, not the one in Anaheim. This one is bigger and wrong. The music is reversed, like you're hearing It's a Small World played backwards, with a voice whispering underneath in another language. The sky is always dark. There are no stars, just this vortex, pulsing above the fake castle, like it's alive. The dream always ends the same way. I walk into a staff-only maintenance tunnel beneath Space Mountain. It's not abandoned. It's used. There are lights, equipment, people. People in black suits with surgical masks and gloves. They're pushing stretchers covered in tops. Some of them are still breathing underneath. They're humming the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse theme song, slow, like a funeral dirge. One of them turns to me. He has no eyes, just two gaping holes, seared black, like he tried to burn them shut. He says, "Room 13. 13 isn't a location. It's a decision." Then I wake up every single time. 3:13 a.m. I checked online. Room 1313 doesn't exist at the Disneyland Hotel. I called pretending to book a room. They confirmed it. No 13th floor, no 1313, they said. But if you go there, right after the park closes, and you know the right elevator code, you get taken somewhere else. I found someone on a private Discord server, used to be a Disney Imagineer, said they worked on unauthorized sublevels in the early 2000s. I offered to pay him for information. He said he didn't want money. Just one thing. Delete the Lazarus files. He wouldn't tell me why. Said he saw someone disappear on a monitor while working security. Said he watched someone walk into room 1313. Someone already dead. Here's the twist. The room was inside Spaceship Earth at Epcot, not Anaheim, Florida. Room 1313 isn't a single place. It's like a virus. It moves. It shows up wherever the resurrection experiments succeed. The files in LZRS.zip weren't just experiments. They were results. Each room is a point of re-entry, a place where something comes back, but not as it was. You think death is the worst thing that can happen. Try coming back wrong. I don't know where Will is now. I don't know if he still will. But last night, I got an airdrop on my phone. No one around me. No other devices nearby. It was a photo. It showed me, sleeping, in my room. Except in the corner of the picture, there was a tall figure. No face. Just an oversized Disney name tag. Room 1313. I checked my hallway security cam footage. There was nothing. Just a flicker, and the faint sound of something humming. You ever stand in your room, completely still, and realize that something is watching you from inside your own skin. That's where I am now. It's not even fear anymore. Fear was 3 days ago. Fear was when I still had a grasp on what normal meant. Now, this is different. Now I'm just trying not to crack open my own skull and claw out whatever doesn't belong inside anymore. Let me explain. After I got that airdrop, the photo of me sleeping with a name-tagged figure in the corner, I didn't leave my room for 2 days. I pushed my dresser in front of the door. I taped over every camera in my apartment. Laptop, phone, even the microwave. I didn't eat, barely drank anything. I couldn't, because every time I blinked, I'd see it again. That thing from the photo, the way it didn't stand so much as hover, like its knees bent backwards. The fake Disney name tag stuck to its melted shirt, and in the center of its chest was an old security key card, cracked, burned, with one visible word, Imagineering. I thought maybe, just maybe, I was spiraling, losing it. You don't just stumble across military-grade resurrection footage and then see your friend smiling as a corpse in a Starbucks basement without shattering something inside you. So I tried to ground myself. I started recording everything, even when I slept, especially when I slept. The third night, I caught something, not on camera, in audio. The footage showed me sleeping, same as always, but around 3:17 a.m., the microphone started picking up a low humming, not music, breathing, deep, wet, like lungs that hadn't been used in years were trying to remember how to function again. The breathing got closer, and then a voice, distorted, scrambled, like it had been reconstructed from someone's memory of how voices work, and it said, "Your skeleton still remembers the grave. Let us in." Then silence, for an hour. Then the sound of my bedroom door unlocking. It was still locked the next morning. I live alone now. Jason left. No warning, no text, just gone. His phone rings twice and cuts off. Will's still missing. It's just me, the cameras, and whatever the hell is leaking through my walls at night. I started looking deeper into Project Lazarus. Not just the files, but who could have made something like this? Who funds resurrection trials in secret and spreads them across amusement parks, labs, and fast food basements? I ended up on a live voice server, buried on some forked version of Discord called v3rm.exe. There were only 13 users in the room. No profile pictures, no usernames, just IDS. And the second I joined, something, started talking. The voice was modulated, but not like a normal filter. It was layered, multiple voices speaking at once, like a crowd whispering in unison. Project Lazarus began as containment. The goal was never resurrection. It was extraction. They dropped a link. I clicked it. It wasn't a file. It was a live feed of room 1313, but not the one from the Disneyland hotel. This one was different. It looked like a hospital room, but warped. The walls pulsed, like muscle under skin. The lights weren't flickering. They were breathing. And in the center of the room, strapped to a surgical table, was a little girl, maybe 7, pale, bruised. Her mouth was open, but her eyes were shut. She wasn't moving. And then, from the corner of the frame, something crawled into view. I don't know how else to describe it, except this. It had too many elbows. It didn't walk. It folded, bent in angles I didn't understand. Skin like it had been peeled off and put back on wrong. It moved to the girl's body, leaned over her, and placed its mouth against her ear. Except it didn't whisper. It screamed. No sound came through, but you could see the scream in her face. Her back arched, her eyes shut open, and they were completely black. The stream cut out. Then my monitor started glitching, like snow, but not pixels. Teeth. Hundreds of tiny white teeth scrolling across the screen like some demonic Morse code. I pulled the plug on my PC. The monitor stayed on, just for a second. And in that second, I saw Will again. But not just Will. My mum was there too. And my grandmother. And my dead dog, Max. All smiling. All with those empty, sucking eyes. All wearing the same Disney name tag. Room 1313. I screamed. I started ripping cords out of the wall, smashing whatever tech I could. I don't know what I thought that would do. Stop them? Stop it? But once you've opened the Lazarus files, you're part of the cycle. It doesn't care if you delete them, because they're already inside you. You think they're data, they're instructions, blueprints for a ritual that doesn't require candles or blood, just attention. The second you watch, it begins. The moment you understand, it completes. Your brain becomes the altar, your body, the offering. They don't come back alone. That's the part the files didn't explain. They come back with something inside. A parasite. A twin that was never born right. Not a soul. Not a demon. Something older. I haven't slept since that night. Every time I try, I feel something curling around my spine, like a leash tightening. Yesterday, I went to a Starbucks across town to use their Wi-Fi and try to back up the footage. I figured they couldn't track me there. I walked in, ordered a black coffee, sat in the corner near the bathroom, and opened my phone. The second I connected to the Wi-Fi, an app downloaded itself. No name, just a black icon with a white door on it. I couldn't delete it, couldn't move it, couldn't even restart my phone. I tapped it once. It opened my camera, front-facing, but the reflection staring back wasn't me. It was wearing my face, but it was grinning, and its eyes were wrong. Behind me, the reflection showed a door, a metal one, like a blast door, bolted and rusted shut, and etched into the steel. Room 1313. The app closed itself. I looked up. The barista was staring at me, but his eyes weren't blinking. He didn't look human anymore. Just worn skin stretched over something else. Something waiting to be unzipped. I left. I've been driving since. No destination. Just running from every Starbucks, every hotel, every McDonald's with a basement. Every place where you could tuck away a room no one talks about. A room that listens. And now I'm hearing things, not out loud, in my teeth, in my bones, like memories that aren't mine are trying to push their way out. They whisper numbers, always the same. 1313. I think it's a countdown, or a lock code, and whatever it opens isn't supposed to be here, but we're opening it anyway. I didn't mean to become the thing I feared the most, the person who keeps poking at a locked door even after the key starts to bite. But the Lazarus files aren't a folder you can close and walk away from. They expand. They leak into everything you do, like a stain that changes color the longer you stare at it. After the coffee shop, I stopped trying to be clever. No more laptops, no more backups, no more, I'll just check one more file. I sold my car. I pawned anything with a camera. You'd think destroying technology would stop them. It didn't. It just changed the way they reached me. They started using people I knew. First was a DM. It came from a burner account that used Jason's old username, the one he'd had since middle school. It said 2 words. Help me. Jason had never sent me that. Jason was the kind of guy who would compose elaborate chains of half-formed memes and then forget to send them. Help me was not his style. I called the number attached. It was a voicemail with an old ringtone, the one his mom used. Behind a thudding static, there was breathing, not his, something else, heavy, wet. It spoke once, in a voice that tried to imitate him, and failed. Don't tell them where I am. Then the call ended. My hands went numb. I tried to trace the origin of the DM, but it was routed through a dozen throwaway proxies. Whoever made it wanted me to look. They wanted me to care. And I did. God, I did. So I started watching people again. Not on purpose. I was being watched. My life filled with small, impossible proofs that the files were not just data. A teenager on TikTok doing a duet with a clip of a laughing child that had all the audio stripped. A live streamer in Sao Paulo who suddenly went silent on camera because his viewer count spiked and all the new accounts had only a single upload, a single 2-second vertical video of a hallway with the number 13 painted on the floor. There was a pattern. The people who uploaded them often disappeared the next day. One morning, there was a trending tag on X. You remember when X used to be Twitter? Hashtag remember 1313. It started as a joke. People were posting pictures of the number 1313 painted on walls, on napkins, on bus stop benches. But then someone posted a video from inside an elevator near Times Square. The camera shows the elevator doors open, and for a beat there are people stepping out. A woman in a red dress, an old man with a cane, a small boy balancing a balloon. They look ordinary. Then they all turn at once, not toward the camera, but towards something someone else is holding, just out of frame. Their mouths unfold like someone opening a drawer. No sound, just that motion, and they smile. That night, the news covered it. Headlines called it a viral prank. Some columnist traced it back to a prankster collective, but the people who posted the original shots vanished. Their apartments were found empty, except for a mirror with the number 1313 etched into the glass. That's when the police started asking questions. Not about me, not yet. About the missing streamers, about the weird footage. They were professional, officious, and quick with their phrases. Probably staged, said one detective, with the kind of badge that looks good on a desk. Hysteria. Copycat videos. He asked me if I'd seen anything suspicious. I told him the truth. I don't want to get involved. He smiled like he understood. He didn't. 2 nights later, I got a text from my sister. She'd been overseas for months, posting sunlit photos from Lisbon. The message said simply, "Do you remember when Grandpa used to whistle? He did it today on a street corner. Said he was home. Grandpa had been dead for 5 years." I called her. The line was full of traffic and fireworks and the faint smell of salt. Then she started to cry, but softer than I'd ever heard her cry before. Not fear, something like exhaustion. She told me she'd seen a man in a blue jacket by the tram stop, and he tipped an invisible hat at her. He had her father's laugh. The next morning, her landlord texted her a photo. The back door of the building, taken on a security camera, and on the doormat, written in what looked like coffee grounds, were the numbers 1313. People started bringing names. They'd post, half jokingly, "If you could bring one person back, who would it be?" And the replies would be every kind of grief. Then the account would be suspended, and in the suspended accounts, last active snapshot. There was always a 3:13 a.m. timestamp in the corner. I began to keep a list. Names scavenged from comments, funerals, obituaries. It felt obscene, like I was cataloging graves. The list filled fast. A nurse from a hospice who'd once held a dying man's hand and had a picture of him on her desk. A barista in Kyoto who'd shared a photo of a stray cat. A paramedic from Berlin. A YouTuber who made calming painting videos. Ordinary people. Whole networks of ordinary. Each one of them had a memory I could not bear to have and could not bring myself to erase. Then I got a live stream link sent by someone who wrote only, "Listen." It was a funeral service. I watched it for a minute, for no reason I could explain. Mourners in black lined up to lay flowers. The camera was on a tripod at the back, stationary, steady. There was a woman at the front. She wore a braid and a sweater with holes. The minister's voice was muffled. A slideshow played on a projector. A photo of a laughing man froze on the screen. The crowd leaned forward as if listening to someone telling a story. At 3:13, everyone in the room turned toward the camera. They all smiled. In the front row, the woman in the sweater set the bouquet she was holding on the floor and slid the flowers away with her foot. The coffin lid rose just a millimeter. It wasn't a jump scare. The world didn't explode. It unfolded like a second hand advancing on a clock. Inexorable, small, deliberate. The coffin lifted higher and higher until the lid was a full hand's breadth away. Then it stopped. The minister reached out, trembling, and touched the wood. The stream cut. I replayed it 40 times. I called the funeral home. They had no record of the service. The deceased, a man named Elias Cortez, died in a bicycle accident 2 years earlier. His obituary was posted on a local paper in Phoenix. The paper staff told me Elias had no surviving close kin. The funeral home said there had been a closed family service 3 months before. Closed family service. I went to the address on Elias's Facebook page, an apartment building. Gray someone painted over the number on the mailbox. The doorman said he hadn't seen anyone moving in or out. A neighbor mentioned that people had started leaving small bouquets by the elevator. They were always fresh, always arranged with 4 flowers. Then, on my front porch, someone left a photograph. It wasn't of someone I knew. It was of a woman, about 40, smiling with a soda can in her hand, standing in front of a McDonald's that had long ago closed for renovations. On the back, scratched into the paper, were 3 words, "She chose us." I pressed my thumb into the indented scratch marks until my fingernail hurt. The edges of the photo were warm, like it had been sitting in a pocket. Then my phone vibrated with a calendar alert I had never set. 3:13 a.m. Guest arrival. I tried to leave the city. On the train platform, a man tapped me on the shoulder and asked for change. He had the face of a childhood teacher I hadn't thought about in years. He told me, in a voice like wet paper, that the platform smelled like oranges that day when we lost his classmate. His eyes had the small, echoing hollows I saw in the video, like sockets trying on different faces. I said I was sorry and walked away. He called my name. I don't have anyone left who thinks I'm stable. My sister blocked my number. My mother calls occasionally. These little perfunctory check-ins she used to save for birthdays. She asked if I was sleeping. I lied. I told her I was fine. The last voicemail she left was a humming. She said she watched a compilation of old cartoons and found herself crying. They all came back at the end, she said, like it was a movie spoiler she didn't want. They all came back smiling. I stopped answering the door at night. I stopped looking at mirrors. I covered the bathroom mirror with a towel and taped it shut. It didn't help. Mirrors are just glass. They only make the things inside you visible sooner. The important places are not mirrors at all. They're the places where people gather to be public and small at the same time. Stadiums, plazas, fasting brunch spots, subway platforms. Crowds, I started checking public camera feeds. The city's official ones, the private ones, the ones people live stream for followers. If a place had been designed to hold a mass of people, it could hold a guest. It took me 1 week to find a pattern where there wasn't one and arrange it like a chain. And then, of course, there was the DM that mattered most. It came from a verified account that didn't exist 2 days earlier. No profile picture, just the blue check. The message read, "We can help you bring him back. Him, Will." There was a link attached. It went to a page that looked like a memorial site, elegant as a funeral card. It asked me to upload a photograph of Will. It asked me to write a single memory of him. One clean recollection, it said. A location he loved. I deleted the link. Then I reopened it. I wrote the memory without thinking. Will laughing in the back seat of my uncle's pickup, the highway lights streaking past, the time he convinced us to order fries at 1 a.m. and split a milkshake. I typed the place he liked best, the old pier near our campus, where the fishermen left nets and gulls sat like sentries. Then I changed my mind. I closed the browser. My hands shook. I threw the phone against the wall. It cracked but stayed on. The screen showed an image. Will on the pier, smiling the way he used to, looking at a horizon that wasn't there. Outside, the world sounded ordinary. Car horns, a dog barking. Somewhere, a radio played a top 40 hit in the background. But at 3:13 a.m., a siren started and then stopped, like an inhalation that didn't exhale. When I went to the pier the next morning, I know, stupid, reckless, naive, the water had a film on it. Not oil, not algae. Something thin that reflected light in the wrong way, like a photograph left in the sun. On the boardwalk, people had left things. A pair of sneakers, a child's raincoat, a single blue balloon tied to a bench. There were no names on any of them. And when I bent down to pick up the balloon, a voice behind me said, "You shouldn't have come." It sounded like my voice, but older. It sounded like gravel being slid over glass. I turned, and no one was there. The bench was empty. The sky was the same brutal, unremarkable gray it always is near the water. On the back of the bench, someone had carved initials. They were not mine. They were not Will's. They were a cluster of letters I did not recognize, and below them, the numbers 1313. I started dreaming again. This time, the dreams were different. Not parks, not halls, but a room that felt like the inside of an old camera. Walls made of shuttered slats, a single light bulb hanging from the center, humming, a chair, a desk, a box filled with postcards stamped from every major city in the world. Times Square, Shibuya Crossing, Piccadilly Circus, Copacabana, but all addressed to the same apartment number, room 1313. At the bottom of the box, there was a Polaroid. Will, the same smile, the same pale eyes, but behind him, a shadow like a person made of smoke. There was a hand on his shoulder. 4 fingers, they said, long, leathered. I awoke with my fingers bleeding, not from anything I could see, Something inside me had pressed back. I tried to call 911, but the line was dead. I tried to text my sister, but the message failed to send. The only thing that went through was an email with the subject line, "Guest list updated." Inside was a list. Names I recognized, names I didn't. Some already missing, some still living. At the bottom, a new line appeared, as if being typed in real time. It stopped at the letter T, then the screen went black. I'm writing this downstairs in a Denny's at 2 a.m. because I needed light that wasn't my own apartment's. People in booths look up at me sometimes and then look away like they don't know me. There's a jukebox playing old songs. The waitress dropped my coffee without looking. My phone buzzed. It's an automated calendar. 3:13 a.m. Guest arrival. The clock on the wall says 3:12. There's a man at the counter humming softly. He's humming the tune I remember from the videos, the slow, warped theme. He keeps turning half toward me to look, then away. He looks like someone I once trusted. When the clock hits 3:13, I'll either run or I won't. I don't know which is worse. I don't know if the running would help at all. They say confronting the thing that haunts you is the only way to make it stop, but they're wrong. Confrontation makes it interested. If it's the latter, if I don't run, this will be the last account anyone reads from me. If it's the former, maybe someone else will write the next part, and he'll say, "I warned him." Either way, there's one last thing I need to say, because this is what I've learned and what you should know if you're still reading. You don't have to be dead for them to come back to you. You just have to remember, and you can choose the memory they take to dress a stranger in. You can choose a name they will call out in the night. You can choose the bench, the pier, the streetlight, where they'll stand and wait. But you will never, ever be able to choose what they wear when they come. They dress in your forgiveness, stitched from the things you miss. And the last thing they learn about you is how easy it is to open a door. I'm writing this knowing there's no more running, no more pretending this is a story I can delete off my phone, or a nightmare that ends when I wake up. If you're reading this, the cycle has already brushed against you. This isn't a warning anymore. This is a confession. After the Denny's, I drove without looking at the road, my hands locked to the steering wheel like they were frozen on. When the highway signs blurred past, they didn't say cities anymore. They said things like 1,313 kilometers to arrival, 1,313 guests registered welcome back. The lights on the highway pulsed faintly in threes. Every third flicker, I'd see faces in the reflection of the windshield. Not full faces, just the outlines of smiles pressed against the glass like wet handprints. I ended up back at the pier where I typed Will's memory into the site. Of course I did. That's the pull of Lazarus. It doesn't drag you somewhere you've never been. It drags you somewhere you loved, until the love rots and the place becomes a door. The pier was quiet, not empty. Quiet. No gulls, no waves. Even the air felt padded, like a recording studio where all the sounds been sucked out. The wood under my feet was soft, like cartilage. At the very end of the pier, someone had built a door frame out of driftwood. Just a frame, no door. Hanging from the top beam was a name tag like the ones in the videos. Blank. I reached for it without meaning to. The second my fingers touched the tag, the air around me changed. It didn't get colder. It got thicker. like walking into a freezer that had been waiting with the door closed. I could smell bleach, metal, and underneath that, the faint, sickly sweetness of something long spoiled. A voice spoke behind me. It didn't sound human. It sounded like many voices, perfectly timed, like a choir humming words it had never learned. "Welcome back, Tyler." I turned. It was Will, but not Will. He was standing barefoot on the boards, wearing the hoodie he'd vanished in, except it was soaked with something dark at the hem. His skin was pale and damp, like paper left in the rain. His eyes had no pupils, just black lenses that reflected me back at myself. And his smile was a shape I didn't know a mouth could make. He opened his arms like he wanted a hug. His fingers bent backward at the second knuckle. "You gave us the memory," he said. "Now give us the name." I couldn't move. My brain was screaming, but my body was leaning forward. His breath smelled like my old dorm room, like Monster energy drinks and instant ramen, like grief wrapped in something sweet. He tilted his head, and something else inside him tilted too, like a shadow sliding behind a curtain. "We're so close to being done," it said. "We just need the last one." I tried to speak. I asked what the last one was. Will's grin twitched. His neck cracked sideways. "Too far." "You." Behind him, the water started rising, but not like a wave, more like a curtain being pulled up. Underneath it wasn't ocean anymore. It was a room, a long gray corridor lined with doors, each marked with numbers, all 1313, over and over, infinite. And the doors were opening. People were stepping out. Some I knew, some I didn't. All of them wearing those blank name tags, all of them smiling. Some had faces missing pieces. Some had faces that were too smooth, like clay that hadn't dried yet. They walked toward us in perfect silence, their feet making no sound on the boards. Will held out his hand. "Say your name." I shut my eyes. I started saying prayers I hadn't said since I was a kid. None of it mattered. When I opened my eyes again, Will was closer. So close, I could see something moving under his skin, like insects crawling just beneath the surface, spelling out letters. 13, 13, 13, 13. He grabbed my wrist. His grip was cold, but not like ice, like soil, damp, heavy. It started to sink into me. His nails pressed into my veins, and I felt something pushing up through my arm, climbing toward my shoulder. Not pain, just pressure, like being filled with water. I screamed his name, his real name, the one nobody online knew. And for a split second, his face flickered, his eyes cleared. "I'm so sorry," he whispered, his real voice. "It wasn't supposed to get out." Then the shadow behind him surged forward, and his mouth tore into a smile again. "Too late." The pier groaned. The boards cracked. One by one, the people in the name tags started stepping off into the water room below, vanishing into the corridor, leaving wet footprints behind. As they passed, they whispered things into my ear without moving their mouths. My old passwords, my childhood street address, the names of pets I'd buried, things no one should know. The shadow inside Will bent over me and spoke directly into my head. "This isn't resurrection. This is inheritance. We've been waiting for someone to hold it." And then it showed me. Not a vision, not a dream. A memory that wasn't mine. A room beneath the parks, the hospitals, the basements. People in black aprons stitching pieces of different bodies together. Not Frankenstein horror movie stitches. Surgical seams. Perfect. A machine in the corner, humming. Not with electricity, but with something else. Something alive. The smell of burnt sugar and ammonia. The sound of 1,000 voices speaking backwards at once. I saw the children from the video on the brass luggage cart. I saw the old Imagineer on the Discord server. His eyes rolled back, muttering numbers while a screen blinked in front of him. I saw my sister standing on a tram stop in Lisbon, her eyes black as tar, holding a balloon and humming. I saw my own body lying on a table in room 1313, not dead, not alive, waiting. I ripped my wrist out of Will's grip and stumbled back. He didn't move. None of them moved. They just stood there, watching me, smiling those 2 wide smiles. "If you leave now," the shadow said, "you'll just wake up where we put you." I turned and ran anyway. Off the pier, past the benches, into the parking lot that wasn't a parking lot anymore, but a tiled hallway with flickering lights, doors on each side, all 1313. I ran until my lungs burned and my legs gave out. And then I woke up, not in my bed, in a small, windowless room, white walls, one door, numbered 1313. In the corner, a desk with a stack of name tags, blank, and a mirror nailed to the wall. I walked to the mirror. It wasn't me in the reflection. It was Will. He looked at me and whispered, "Tag yourself." I looked down at my hand. There was a name tag stuck to my palm, my name already written on it. When I looked back up, the reflection was smiling. I'm not yet, but the muscles in my face are starting to move on their own, and somewhere behind me, a door is opening. If you're reading this, don't try to find the files. Don't look for room 1313. Don't even whisper it out loud, because it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you're alive or dead. Once you've read its name, it knows where to find you. And when it comes, it won't knock. It will already be inside.